everybody, and welcome to Ken's Show and Tell on this overcast and drizzly May 16th, or excuse me, May 15th, 2024, as we continue putting this 1971 280 SE W108 sedan back together. What I mean by back together is correcting the mechanical mess that Maath Al-Jari left me after vinyl wrapping this car, which I'm very happy with, and just the mechanical mess he made of this car, doing things he said he was going to do, didn't do, or did in an incomplete and very unprofessional way. I've been dealing with this off and on since September of 2023, and on March 19th, 2024, I was finally able to seriously start looking into this after I repaired all of the lights. When he delivered the car to me in September of 2023, none of these exterior lights worked, front or back. And when I took off the headlight doors and the blinker light covers here in the front, I discovered nothing was hooked up and all the wires had just been crammed back into their housings, and some of them even broken, and I had to run pigtails and kind of correct the wiring in the front, and same was in the back. He was also supposed to install this aftermarket automatic electric antenna that I supplied. It didn't work, and when I took off this panel here, well, the panel was missing, so that's another story. And the wiring was just all balled up in there, and it was never even hooked up. None of the lights inside the car were working either. Fortunately, all that was due to blown fuses, and everything is working fine. I pulled the radio, pulled this cover here, and got the antenna going. And I also put in some new speakers here in the front while I was at it. And the speakers in the back are good. They're Alpine speakers, which is very nice. And so I bought high-end speakers to go in the front here, and this cover here and the cover over there in front of the driver's door. I put on a new Zimmerman disc in the front. ATE calipers in the front were fine. I had done that prior to sending it over to him. I put and repacked the new bearings in here, and repacked them, and things turn fine now. I'll put the wheel on there, and that gives me a better idea of how to tighten these down, what the proper float torque should be on these things. So that's been addressed. Go over here to the other side, same thing, brand new Zimmerman discs up front, and I put new bearings in here and packed it as well. I didn't trust anything that he had done, and the pads in here are new, and the calipers, the ATE calipers in the front. Now I did these were intact in the car when it went to Maath, and then when the car came back, these were missing. They were gone. He just threw them away. He said he didn't know where they were when last time I talked to him, which was during delivery of the car. And I got these from Cody Spires. They fit pretty good. I asked him to send me the bolts along. He said he would, but he didn't. And so I, did my own self-tapping bolts in here. It does have a rust through here, which I didn't realize until after I cleaned this up and painted it and put it on here. But I'll patch that up. However, that was the very small of it. He was supposed to have redone the brakes all the way around the car. And what I discovered when I put it up on my lift and checked the front brakes was that these discs are aftermarket discs made in China. They say so on the rim. And not only that, they didn't fit the hub. And you can see, if I get this thing straight, they didn't fit the hub. And you can see where he had it machined out and it cut into these bolt holes here. And worst of all, this whole housing here is cracked all the way through from this bolt hole over. So it cracked for two reasons. One, this didn't fit, and so they tried to make it fit by pounding it on the hub, and they had to ground the hub too to get this thing over here. And then they over torqued the hub bolts, which cracked this disc and cracked the other disc. Here is the other disc from the front. Here's the crack right here, and it goes all the way through, almost out into the braking area. Same sort of deal here, trying to make something fit that didn't fit. He was also supposed to rebuild the rear brakes too, but the rear wheels came back locked up. And look at this disc here, how it's all pitted, and it wasn't like that when I gave it to him. But all this has been addressed and replaced now by these are the calipers off the rear, and they were supposed to be new and rebuilt. And these are all frozen and stuck together and rusted. And I have since put new ones on the back. And you see how this one right here is just frozen to the outside? And that's one reason why the wheel was completely locked up. There you go. That's the caliber of this guy's mechanical work. He didn't know what he's doing. It's got new tires and new Zimmerman discs on the back, and but you can't see because I have the wheel on here, and also ATE calipers. All this stuff made in Germany. And on the same side over here, new ATE caliper, Zimmerman discs, and I have to put in a new hard line right here, brake line, which I'm getting ready to do. So we'll go ahead and do that. Here's the old hard line out of the left side rear. This flare has been broken, and it stripped off the old caliper. So I just installed a new one that I bought from this company, and it was a 10.5-inch line with ends already put on it, metric, made for Volkswagen. Let me show you what it looks like in the car right now. There it is. Let me come around to the other side here. There, hooked up there, runs along there, and I will tie it down once I bleed it and make sure this new line, the connections are not leaking. I had to bend it to the proper bends or close to it that I could get it. But I found this on Amazon, for about $10 or so, and already with the ends already on it. And so I thought that was nice. It's steel. Here's a new ATE calipers I put on the back here. This tool from Billy Tool is supposed to fit down inside the master cylinder reservoir like this and clamp, but these old Mercedes don't work that way. You can't use it. So what I'm going to do is just use it as a pouring device using this valve to open it up, and I can watch the brake fluid go in there. Has a little float valve inside it, but I'm not utilizing that. I'm just using everything here to get the flow right. This is the Billy Tool device I bought, which collects the old brake fluid in this tub here and runs off your air compressor. And you want to run it between 48 and 170 psi. I'll put it up there around 100 on mine, and then you flush it through sucking by using your air compressor. I'll show you how that works. Okay, I run the tank I'm going to run it up to about 100, so it's sucking pretty good. Okay, and my regulated pressure. Okay, so there it is. And you run your line out to this tank right here. Hook it in, and here's a valve that controls your compressor. In other words, shut your compressor on and off when it's calling for air. Here's your catch tank. Here's the bleeder hose going up into your wheel right here. And then you got your wrench here to crack it. So what you want to do, go ahead and crack this. Just have to crack it a little bit. And let's go ahead and turn on the air, and you watch the line here. See, it's coming. I saw one little drop. Crack the bleeder open. All right, there it is open. Turn on the air. Oh, look at it coming right through there already. Yeah. I pulled both rear wheels off to give me better access to this bleeder, and I couldn't get fluid to come out of this, and nor could I get fluid to come out of this caliper as well. Now I got fluid to come out of the front ones, okay, but I have no brake pedal pressure. There's the new line that I had just put in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this flexible hose here and remove this flexible hose up here, and I'm going to see if I can get brake fluid to come out of the hose or even before the hose. You can see it back up in there, and just see if maybe these hoses have collapsed. So I'm going to take these off and give that a check. Well, here's the right rear brake hose off. It's an FTE, so let's see if we can put a wire through it and then see if we can blow compressed air through it. The wire seems to be hanging up, but there it goes. Okay, see, it's all the way through the thin wire. But I have to admit that when I pulled this off, there was a little bit of brake fluid leaking through, but not much. Let's see about blowing some air through it and see what happens. Well, we put the wire through it. Now let's do 80 psi air compressing. You can see it going through. Let me see if I can feel it. Oh yeah. You see, let me blow that. Let's go through the other side. Oh, it's free. It's clear. Also, I was able to straighten this hose out, hold it up, and point it to the bright sky, and I could see right through it. So I know this hose is good. Let's check the other side. So up here is where I just disconnected the flexible line on the passenger side, and you can see there's a little bit of fluid coming out of this solid line. It's just kind of a mild little weak drip. And it comes over here to this joint here. So what I'm going to do, this is a common joint for these rear brakes. I'm going to take off this flexible hose, check it, and then I'm also going to take that apart and look at that junction or that joint. And let's just see what that looks like. I've just loosened this joint, and you see brake fluid clearly coming out of there. Okay, I'll put something underneath there to capture it, but I'm still going to take this hose out and check it out. Right now the leaking is good on this side. I want it to leak right now. The other side not so much, so the investigation continues. The hose is also an AT hose, ATE hose. Let's just see if we get a wire through it and then blow air. We saw that there was fluid in there. There it goes. Oops, it has a slight kink in it, the wire. Right here, see if we can't straighten this out. Let's see if we go through the other end, because it went up that far. I wonder if it was hitting on this female end. Huh. That's very interesting. Doesn't want to go all the way through. Okay. Let's see about some air. Blowing strong. Well, after blowing air through it, there we go. Here's the wire coming out. I'm going to see if I can put it up to the daylight and look at it. See, here it is coming out this end. I've got 2 new hoses on order. They should be in the next few days or so. I'll have to compare them, but okay, let me just see if I can put it up to the light and see. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is take this little valve off, and we'll investigate that as well. You can see it's dripping brake fluid, and I assume it's coming from upstream towards the reservoir, but it's really not flowing out. So let's just take that thing off and see what happens. So in order to gain purchase, because if you just, these things are on so tight that it will, I was afraid of breaking this, so I had this clamped on here. I'd use 2 hands. I have the camera, I just want to show you. I've got it loose now. Get that thing up in there. Here we go. I'll just take that off. Alright, and then I have to get the other side off too, and I'll probably do it the same way, but let me loosen up the other end. And you can see it came out without much difficulty, and you can see that's how it fits. Fluid's coming out of here and was draining out the other side, but not over here. Which makes me wonder. Ew. You see, look. You can see through that. There's one end, and here's the other end. But what about that? Now, I've read about brake proportioning valves and rear brake pressure regulators on these cars. That's interesting. So let me just kind of put it in some brake cleaner and let's see what we've got. I'm setting up a test here where all this stuff remains disconnected to the rear. So what this is the main line, or the line coming from the master cylinder out to the rear brake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suck on this with my tool here. I'll turn on the air compressor, which will suck, and let's just see if brake fluid comes through there. I've got the reservoir full, but it doesn't really matter as long as there's stuff in there. So let's just see what we get going here. Let me turn on the machine. Here comes the fluid. Okay, I'm still not getting what I consider, when I'm sucking this way, adequate brake fluid flow. So what I did was I put on the compressor and blew the opposite way after disconnecting it from the master cylinder. Let's go up and see what it looks like blown out of the line. I disconnected this from the master cylinder right there and put a plug in to keep this from draining. I did establish that it is draining out, so that's good. And put this hose all the way into this old brake fluid can here. And then the first thing I did was I applied suction just to this line, and then I blew it back through with the compressor. And so you can see it's all shiny and wet, so stuff did come back through. And okay, well, there it is. It blew back. All right, well, I've established that these lines are open all the way to the back. So I think the only thing to do now is wait for the new flexible hoses to come in, and then put this thing back together. This is very good news. Look, it's coming out by gravity from the master cylinder now. So it wasn't doing that before. Excellent. So the line is cleared. I need to plug it up and put that connector back in and wait for the hoses and bleed the line. I think we'll be good. So we just have to wait for that. Let me clean up this mess now. That's a good mess to clean up. Here is the passenger side rear brake hose. Made in Germany, right here. Back off, maybe you can see it better. So we'll go ahead and then install that. This driver's front wheel had 1, 2, 3, 4 stripped lug bolts. The holes were okay. I wasn't able to salvage the bolts, so I got 4 new ones to put in. This cap was missing, and I found a replacement cap, but I had to grind down the outside lip of this cap in order for it to fit inside this hub. It's in there good and snug now. I've set the bearings. start this car up, take it out, bed in the brakes, and I'm done with this part of putting the car back together. Until next time,